Thanks, guys. Obviously, I've only been in 1N for about 4 months now, and I have done 1Nsight. So I thought it would be a good opportunity for you guys to actually learn extra about me as a person and my business. So that's why I thought I would do the Q&A, and I will be an open book. So feel free to ask anything in relation to like my business, me as a person, my journey for the last 5 years. I've just celebrated my 5-year business anniversary, which has been a roller coaster. It's just probably all the way running a business. So yeah, just fire away questions.
So, guys, can I suggest if you do have a question, you raise your hand in reactions? I've got one for you, Alison, to start off, whilst people have a think about questions for you. I love hearing people's backstory. So what were you doing before and how did you get to what you're doing now?
So for 30 years, I'm giving away my age here. I'm a qualified paralegal for commercial law, insolvency, all that kind of the boring stuff that people kind of roll their eyes about. But I really enjoy it. I've done it for, as I say, many, many years. I worked for a fuel company, an oil and distribution company for 13 years, and I was I headed up the legal team, and I also dealt with all the contracts because we acquired probably over 64 companies in the space of 5 years. Grew to a massive, one of the biggest in the UK. So I headed up the legal team, and then I was asked to head up the credit control team, which then moved me on to managing 74 staff, which was a headache because I'd never actually got my own stuff done, dealing with staff issues. But it was a really rewarding job, loved what I did. But unfortunately, I got made redundant in May 2018, 28th of May. It was a bank holiday Monday. I'll never forget the day. Can't even remember driving home that day because I was devastated. I thought I would be there until retiring. So a lot of people suggested that I should start out my own because I've got so many qualifications even. And I thought I really was apprehensive about it. It took me about 6 months. I took 6 months out, and then I made the decision to actually do it. And I'm still here 5 years later. So yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you very much, Alison. Josh, you've got your hand up. Have you got a question for Alison?
Yeah, Alison, what's the biggest challenge you have in business at the moment or in your sector?
At the moment, it's a lot of business owners are struggling. Obviously, we all watch the news and things like that to do with the cost of living crisis, etc. So I deal with a lot of court cases in relation to people that don't pay their invoices, that kind of thing. So prior to COVID, my success rate was 97% success rate in collecting unpaid invoices. And prior to COVID, I'd only ever attended about 2 mediations in my whole working life and like dealing with this kind of stuff. But since over the last year and a half, I've actually dealt with six mediations. My success rate has dropped considerably down to about 70% because businesses are struggling. But my way around that is I'm not one of those people that go in very harsh, like give me your money, my clients need their cash or whatever. Everyone's struggling, and a lot of things is my clients come to me when they are struggling, whereas they should have came to me 6 months ago when that invoice was due. So the longer you leave an invoice unpaid, the longer it's going to take and harder it's going to take to get paid. So it's educating business owners, deal with it right away, don't leave it. I try and come and go with, I don't even like using the word debtors, but people that don't pay their invoices. It's having that empathy, knowing the reason why they're behind in payments, etc. And I try and work together with them so it's a good result both for that person and my client. But yeah, it's very challenging because a lot of business owners don't have the money. Like a guy came to me last week, he's took out a lot of debt in the last year, £80,000 worth. and he is panicking like big time, but he's communicating with everybody. I've helped him try to keep his business on track. It is viable, you know, he will get through it, but it's just having that courage to keep going and knowing that there's a lot of people there to help.
Yeah, fabulous. Jonathan, you've raised your hand, so we'll go to you, and then I will see if we have enough time for Pete to ask his question as well.
Morning, Alison. Is there, do you think, what's the most common reason for, you know, breakdown of contract, or if there is no contract in place, for dispute? I mean, obviously there's non-payment of invoice, but what's normally the most common reason for that, do you find?
Yeah, well, every case has a background story, and I try and get that from my client because I don't want to go in blind. Because a lot of the time my client, no, they've just ignored me, they're just not paying their invoices. And the first thing I ask them is, do you have your T's and C's, and can I see a copy of them? Because if you don't have your T's and C's, basically the shit can hit the fan at any time. So trades guys are the biggest, construction, they fork out money for materials, they then do the work. And like I do a lot of work for a landscape gardener, and instead of dealing with snagging, you know, as soon as that job is finished, you know, they then issue the final invoice for on completion, and it's like, oh, my garden doesn't look right, those tiles don't look right. It's really, really common with trades, and that is their get out clause of not paying their invoices. So within your T's and C's, you should have something in there that gives a timeline or a time scale as to when someone can come back to you and say, I'm not paying that invoice because you've not done your job right. You know, so I'd probably say 90% of the cases that I get just now for unpaid invoices is because the customer is disputing the work that has been carried out. So yeah.
Fabulous. Thanks, Alison. Pete, we have literally 60 seconds for your question and Alison's answer.
Ooh, I'll try and be quick. Just regarding websites, Alison, what would you say are the core kind of pages or protection that you should have in place? You know, we like terms or conditions and policies.
Your privacy policy is your main document that you have to have on a website because it is a legal requirement. So you can be fined up to 4% of your turnover for the previous year if you haven't got a privacy policy on your website, or even if you don't have a website, you should have a privacy notice. That is the legal requirements. But you should have terms of use, and if you sell from your website, i.e. buy now button, you should have a terms of sale on your website as well, because we all want to know where our information is going. So yeah,